Do the Rams have a shot to make the playoffs? And it was told to me that it's Christmas season. It is the time for miracles, but I don't believe in them. Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the December 12th, 2022 edition, brought to you by Temple City Auto Repair. If you're having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAuto.com. My throat choked up because someone was talking about the Rams and a miracle. No, I refuse to investigate it. I saw the link. I saw what some people posted. Best not to get your hopes up for that. Best thing to do is to think like a Giants fan. There we go. In the 1970s, when the Dodgers with Lasorda and all them were winning division titles and they were competing. And the Giants, they were out of it by June. And basically their whole life centered around, let's just beat the Dodgers and everything's good. So you have to get kind of bitter like this right now for this season. And I'm going to tell you, the bitter mode of a sports fan is not that bad of a deal. It's really not. You can get some, it's not Super Bowl satisfaction, but there is some great satisfaction in seeing teams that your friends love and seeing them lose. Like I have several Raider fans in my life, and they were positively distraught after that loss to the Rams on Thursday. And of course, everyone is Mayfield happy right now, Mary Mayfield. And now that the Rams are 4-9, they're trying to clear a path for the Rams to get to the playoffs. Not happening. But now the Raiders, that was their season. I truly believe they fall to 5-8, and it's over for them. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look, since we already talked about the Ram game on Friday, we're going to talk about what happened in the NFL yesterday. And then the other thing I want to touch on right at the end is I want to go over the list of players that sometimes, not sometimes, but we're hearing a lot right now. Oh, the bill has come due. The bill has come due. Right now, the Rams have something like 5.5 salary cap space. Salary cap's going to go up. The limit's going to go up, and so they got money. And then on top of that, there's all that conversation. Well, the bill came due; they couldn't sign certain players. Well, if Buffalo wants to offer 133 million or whatever they offered to Von Miller for 6 years at his age, God bless him, but they already paid the price, right? His knee is already gone, and they don't have him, and now they're on the hook for that contract. And again, we're talking about windows here, and so I want to deal with some of the personnel the Rams let go, and then we can evaluate what you guys think of the McSneed admin and all their decisions that they're making. But first things first here, getting bounced around a little bit, getting kabobbled. I saw the Bills-Jets yesterday. I saw that game. And, hey, that bill, speaking of a bill coming due, sooner or later it's going to come due on Josh Allen. He's going to do one of those runs, one of those mad sprints, and his team's 10-3 right now. But if they lose him, they're going to finish 10-7. They need him. And someone has got to get in this cabeza and start telling this guy that you can't do the things you do, right? They need to have some sit downs and say, he can't do that. You saw the things he was doing, running the ball, just recklessly putting his body on the line. If you're John Elway, right? I think it was in what was it Super Bowl 32 against the Packers. If you're John Elway and you're going to put yourself, you get helicoptered around and you're at the end of your career, that's one thing. But Josh Allen is going to fade real quick, especially in that bitter Buffalo cold, if they don't change what they're thinking. 10-3 now. For the Jets, I really like Mike White, right? A lot of people like Mike White. Used to say Mike White to me. I say the old Cal, Illinois coach. I think he coached the Raiders too. But this Mike White, his teammates love him. He's got a nice arm, and he got hammered. Absolutely blasted yesterday, busted his ribs, kept trying to fight through. That's the kind of quarterback teams like, and be interested to see about the Jets going forward. I think they got Detroit coming up. I'm not sure, but they're 7-6, and they're still kind of lingering in that playoff circle. And so I hope they make it. I don't have any hatred towards the Jets, and we'd love to see Josh Allen get there as well. The Bengals beat the Browns 23-10. Bengals are 9-4. Browns are 5-8. I keep being told that I have to love Cincy, and if Colin Cowherd wasn't married, he'd actually date Joe Burrow because he just raves about that guy. I'm very Pavlovian. You say Joe Burrow to Colin Cowherd, and the drool just starts coming from his mouth. But I like Cincy. Cincy's good. I'm not going to say I love Cincy. And in regards to Cleveland, hey, you get what you guarantee 230 rocks to. Can Deshaun Watson still play? Yeah, but can you still trust Deshaun Watson? And he's got to get some rust off of his game there. Cowboys 27-23 over the Texans. Texans gave them a gift, but then again, that's what 11-1 teams do. And the Cowboys are 10-3. And I just cannot wait. I am eagerly waiting. I'm in bitter mode now, right? Rams aren't going to the playoffs, so I'm in bitter mode. And I'm eagerly awaiting the next Dallas postseason flameout. Thrilled with it, right? Looking at Houston, they played better last year under Culley. As a David Culley, they played better last year under him. They won 4 games, and they competed. They're not competing under Lovie Smith, and Lovie Smith needs to go. 3rd time around, right? Chicago, Tampa Bay, didn't do well at Illinois, and then now in Houston, we've seen the Lovie Smith show. No love for Lovie. Time to go. Lions 34, Vikings 23. Lions improved to 6-7. They're in the chase, and the Vikings are 10-3. Easy to root for Detroit, and easy to hate the Northmen. But Dan Campbell might not be Bill Walsh, but Lion fans will take some of his Wayne Fonts, right? And just to get to respectability and the idea that they're flirting with the playoff spot. Always a fun team to watch, and you can't help but root for them. They feel like the everyman team. And so, yeah, it'll be pretty cool. And again, you take pleasure in teams that you don't like. I don't like the Northmen. I don't like the Vikings for reasons going back for, 40 years. So good for the Lions, 6-7. Eagles beat the Giants 48-22. Eagles are 12-1. Giants are 7-5-1. Philly's good. But I'm just asking you, can't you see them getting beat in January? I do. I see them getting beat in January. I guess the only question is who's going to be standing to beat them in January. 49ers are dropping like flies. You can't trust Dallas. It'll be interesting. They'll have to shoot themselves in the foot, but quite often that's what teams do. But, the one thing about Philly is don't discount that playoff appearance, that brief playoff appearance last year. That was hugely important to get their feet wet, and that could provide dividends. But they can be a candidate to get bounced. The G-men, they need to worry less about the playoffs and be more about finishing strong so they don't lose the good of this season. I know they finished 6-1, and I think they're like, 1-4-1 since then or something. And it's been a rough go. I think they're cleaning house. I think they're finding out what they have. I think the Giants are much improved, but they might not be a playoff team this year. Put it this way, I wouldn't mind seeing the Giants in the playoffs, but I'd rather see Detroit. I don't want to see the Commanders in the playoffs because I don't believe in the Commanders. I don't know who the Commanders are. I'm a Redskin fan, so I'm bitter, and so I don't want the Commanders to make the playoffs. Going to Baltimore, the Ravens 16, Steelers 14. The game of the backup quarterbacks. I don't know what to say. There was a UFO spotted in the sky over on the East Coast, and it was an errant pass thrown by Mitchell Trubisky. They don't have to send interceptors up to take down missiles anymore. They just take Mitchell Trubisky and he knocks down because he throws more interceptions than anybody. Pittsburgh's gone, bye-bye, and Baltimore is really not going to go anywhere. They're 9-4. Pittsburgh's 5-8. That was a crusher for them. The Ravens are 9-4, but do the Ravens scare you? I mean, against Cincy, against Buffalo, against Kansas City, they just don't scare me. And I think we're starting to see, even though he's out right now, but he's out. He's out. Young quarterback. Lamar Jackson's out. He's got a lot of mileage on him, and I just don't see them advancing. Maybe they sneak off a first-round win, but I don't know. Jaguars 36, Titans 22. Jaguars are now 5-8, and you're seeing Trevor Lawrence become more than just hype. You're actually seeing this guy turn into something really special. Doug Peterson, what a great hire that was. Jags showing a lot of life. But they're 5-8. They're not going to go to the playoffs this year. The Titans, 7-6, have to be the most boring team on the planet to watch. I got to tell you, I get really bored out of my mind. It's like watching the American League when you see Tennessee play. Yeah, it's like going to Anaheim Stadium and watching the Angels. I'm just bored by Tennessee. I think it's Ryan Tannehill. I think there's just too much Ryan Tannehill in the NFL, and we need to downgrade all that. Chiefs 34, Broncos 28. Chiefs are 10-3, Broncos 3-10. I hate to be the "I told you so" guy. I did not believe the Broncos would be 3-10. I did not believe Russell Wilson would play this bad, even though he had probably his best game yesterday. But I just wasn't buying the hype when everyone was saying, "Oh, the Broncos are one of the teams to beat, one of the teams to beat." No, they're not, right? Um, Mahomes, what are you going to say? Mahomes. Travis Kelce is dropping passes, but Mahomes is making plays. And as long as that happens, the Chiefs always going to have a shot. It will be interesting. Cold weather is not foreign to KC. As of right now, Buffalo has the home field advantage, and they would have to go through Buffalo to get back to the Super Bowl. I think they've hosted the AFC Championship game for the last 10 years there in Kansas City, but they're going to probably have to go on the road this year. So there's passion in football, but then there's what Jerry Jeudy did yesterday and his antics, and I thought it was, for an average player who had a bad case of the drops this year, he's performing at an average level. The way he went off yesterday and was shaking his head and slamming his helmet and doing all those things, dude, you're not even Des Bryant. You're not even making plays, okay? Yeah, I'm not. And then the celebrations afterward, it's like, no, dude, be about business. You were losing this game. Be about business, right, dude? And so I'm not a big Jerry Jeudy fan, and thus I'm not a fan of the Broncos, and thus I don't think they're going anywhere. They are hamstrung when Russ's contract really kicks in and they start paying him 50 rocks a year. Jerry Jeudy better start performing a little bit better, because he's going to be a salary casualty, because they ain't going to be able to pay him, and he's going to want to go someplace else, if anybody will have him. I'm just not a big Jerry Jeudy guy. Panthers 30, Seahawks 24. I found myself rooting for the Seahawks because I don't dislike Pete Carroll, and I'm kind of rooting for Geno Smith because it's a great story. But good for Sam Darnold and the Panthers. 5-8. Steve Wilkes. No one gave them a shot, and nice win. Of course, they're not going to the playoffs. Well, I don't know. They're in the NFC South, so anything's possible. I think. What is Tampa Bay right now? I'm not sure what Tampa Bay is at the moment. They're 6-7. So yeah, I guess the Panthers still have a shot. But good for Sam Darnold. In regards to the Seahawks, old Pete needs to draft an entirely new defensive front. It was gross the way the Panthers were running the ball on the Seahawks yesterday. It wasn't like it was Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams, Christian McCaffrey. It wasn't like it was those guys. It didn't look good at all. And so they need to change that, because you can't. And then Seattle doesn't have very many running backs left themselves. They can't expect Geno to do it all. Also, DK Metcalf needs to make a couple of more key catches there. He makes a couple of key catches, and maybe it's a different outcome. Then, of course, 49ers 35, Buccaneers 7. 49ers are 9-4, Buccaneers 6-7. And all I could think of is Brady's hurt, right? The thumb hit the helmet. Brady's hurt, and because he looked awful. The passes he missed on yesterday, the passes he underthrew, if that's it, and he needs to retire now, he should have kept his marriage and then got the sweet gig working for Fox. But yeah, he didn't look good at all. So I'm kind of hoping he's hurt, because it was terrible. And then in regards to the 49ers, whatever glass of mirror they broke, whatever salt they spilled, whatever ladder they walked under, it was Garoppolo last week, Deebo Samuel this week, their lineman Kevin Givens, even Brock Purdy, who everyone's in love with right now. He has an oblique issue, and Purdy looks good. But where do they go if Purdy gets hurt, right? Where do they go after that? So it's really fascinating what's happened to the 49ers. They keep winning, but is there going to be anything of them left come January? And Kyle Shanahan, honestly, after he had a 28-0 lead at the end of the first half, Christian McCaffrey never should have saw the field in the second half. Never. You get up 4 touchdowns, given the 49ers history of players going down, pull them from the game. Chargers beat the Dolphins last night, 23-17. Chargers are 7-6 and still alive. Dolphins are 8-5. And yeah, Chargers are interesting because, yeah, they should be better, but they're not. You watch Brandon Staley coach, and you're like, okay, is this the right dude? You don't know, but you see Justin Herbert. I see Justin Herbert, and the way he releases the ball, the way it tracks across the field, the way they call it a seed now. He's throwing darts or he's throwing lasers back in the day. I think of Dan Marino. Now he's more mobile than Dan Marino. I'm not saying he is Dan Marino, but I think of a quarterback of his stature, the way he goes downfield. When I see Herbert, I think of Dan Marino that can get into any spot. When I see Tua, all I think is not for long, right? Not for long. That's 2 weeks in a row. 49ers, good defense. You can give them a pass there. Chargers, really lousy defense. You can't give them a pass. And so Dolphins are 8-5, and kind of the steam and the shine is starting to come down. The steam is starting to settle, and we're going to see about the Dolphins in the weeks to come. I don't see them getting past some of those other teams in their division. And now tonight we got the Patriots and Cardinals. Go Patriots, because I hate the Cardinals. There we go. How's that sound? I'm Joe Terosian. This is RamView, and we're not really talking. We didn't talk too much about the Rams at the top, but just going over the NFL season. I love talking about other stuff. And I'm a pastor. I pastor a small church in Burbank. I was a sports writer for over 20 years. Covered all the sports, mostly football. And I'm a writer now also. I supplement my income through writing. I don't get paid for this. I write books. I'd like to get paid for this, but I write books, and I just released a Christian novel. It's my book called The Pastor Who Couldn't Wait for Christmas to Be Over. It's currently available on Kindle, Amazon. You can check it out there. I'd be deeply grateful. It's on Amazon. Type in Joe Terosian. Scroll down. You'll see The Pastor Who Couldn't Wait for Christmas, and it's got all the cool Christmas colors in there. And so I encourage you to read it. Thank you so much for watching us. I get amazed at the clicks I get sometimes and the responses I get. I don't deserve them sometimes, but I thank you so much. And please keep clicking, keep hitting like, share with your friends. And I love to answer questions and talk football, and especially Ram football. And speaking of Ram football, I made the post last week, and I talked about it on Friday. I made the post talking about how I don't want to see John Wolford start the game, right? How, if you got John Wolford, why is he starting? He's not well. He played horrible on Sunday. Why is he starting on Thursday? And now's the time to find out what you got with Bryce Perkins, right? And then why are you going to force Mayfield in there on 2 days? Okay. But my idea with Perkins is the right call. You have Perkins on the roster for 2 years, not the practice squad. He's taking a spot on the active 53, and that's a lineman. That's a edge rusher. That's a running back that you could have. And so my opinion was, if you got him here, you better play him. Lo and behold, they signed Mayfield. And after 2 days, they let him play. And while I still think Perkins, that was the right track that I said for Perkins that he should be playing, if the Rams have found something in Baker Mayfield, if Baker Mayfield can be the good soldier, if Baker Mayfield can agree to be a hold a clipboard for a year or two until Stafford finishes his run, and then Mayfield's our economical bridge quarterback to the next phase of Ram football, I'm all for that. Put Wolford and Perkins out in the street. I was never saying Perkins should be the starter. I was just saying that how do you justify his existence on the roster or his presence on the roster if you're not playing him in these games that literally mean nothing except to bitter people like me who want to make sure the Cowboys don't go, the 49ers don't go, the Vikings don't go, whose lives I just want to upend their apple cart. So that's kind of where I was coming from on that. And man, I got torn apart on some of the social media. And it's like, bro, did you read it? I don't have a problem with Mayfield. Keep Mayfield, dump the other guys in the street. I'm just saying, why did we waste 2 years with Bryce Perkins if in this moment, if he's not playing now, I don't care about him not being ready. The idea is to find out if he is ready. Could he be a number two? Not if Mayfield's on the roster. If we can find a way to keep Mayfield at a really reasonable price, let's dance. And he should know this. Mayfield should know this. Nobody else wants him. He's got a coach that believes in him. Mayfield should want us as a dance partner, want the Rams as a dance partner. Okay, so part of that also plays into a lot of what folks have been saying in regard to, the Bills coming due. Low-hanging fruit, right? Lazy sports reporting, lazy commentating. Rams are $5 million on the positive side of the salary cap right as of right now, and it's probably going to go up. We're pretty sure it's going to go up. So they're in the right side of the salary cap business. And they have a number 2 and number 3, and I think they have a 5th, and they have a whole slew of late round picks. Plus, if they lose anybody, including Mayfield this year, they'll pick up comp picks. So they got those things going for them, right? The salaries are high, but they're not absolutely crippling. And it's like, well, look who the Rams gave up. Like, yeah, let's look who the Rams gave up. All right. We were upset when they released Darrell Henderson and Justin Hollins. We're trying to figure out what's the plan here. Everyone thought, even I thought, man, it would have been nice to have Darrell Henderson on Thursday night when Akers fumbled the ball. But Darrell Henderson was picked up with the Jaguars, and he never played a snap. Was on with them for two weeks, and they released him. They waived him. Justin Hollins was picked up by the Green Bay Packers, and in 2 games, he got a sack in his first game, but that was the one against Philly. But since then, and even in that game, he's gotten some snaps, and he's basically grading out as the same player he was with the Rams. He's okay. He's a good tackler, kind of holds the edge a little bit, but he's not going to get to the quarterback, not at all. Okay, let's look at some other names. Darius Williams. You guys remember Darius Williams, right? Last year, right? He had the great 2020 season, fantastic. We brought him back in 2021, and he struggled. And then in the back half of the season, he really picked it up. He signed with Jacksonville, 3 years, 30 rocks. And in the Pro Football Focus, which is kind of the Bible nowadays, Darius Williams ranks 103 out of 119 cornerbacks, right? He has no interceptions. And I think he only had 1 last year for the Rams. And this is a guy that parlayed a great season into some nice dough. But boy, did the Rams make a nice move by not bringing him back. And they did. They did. John Johnson III, who we loved after 2020, right? You can't find a Ram fan who knows anything about the game. We have great memories of John Johnson. But when he signed with Cleveland, since then, he's been average at best. Out of 88 graded safeties in the NFL, John Johnson is graded at 64, right? He is not playing near anywhere at the level he was playing with the Rams. And also he's a 12 rock cap hit for Cleveland next year. And so he's actually required probably to stay on that roster. He can't really be bought out, and they're stuck with him. And again, good personnel decision in the end. It was emotional for us as Ram fans, but good personnel decision by the Rams to let John Johnson go. Another name that came up this weekend was Ogbo Okoronkwo. And he was signed with the Texans. Late signee, he's been rotating on their edge, and he's grading well. Actually, in limited snaps, he's grading very well, but his production isn't that high. He only has 1 sack, and he'll be an unrestricted free agent in 2023, but he's not bringing the world down, right? We're not talking about the Texans except for blowing the game in Dallas and ruining my weekend. If they had won that game, I'd be Mr. Texan. I'd always been a Texan fan. Johnny Hekker with the Panthers. You going to complain about Riley Dixon? I don't think you're going to. And Riley Dixon even shown he could throw the ball too. Hecker's playing a little bit better this year for the Panthers, but he's still the same guy. And Rams saved a few bucks. So we didn't get stung there. Here's the player that I think we got stung a tiny bit on, and that's Austin Corbett. Austin Corbett right now of guards in the NFL, he's grading out 12th overall. So he's had a really good season for the Panthers. But you remember last year, we were having trouble running the ball with Austin Corbett, David Edwards, Brian Allen, and Whitworth and Havenstein in the postseason and in the Super Bowl. We were having trouble, and Corbett was getting a bit manhandled at times. So they let him walk, and he's making 11 rocks this year for the Panthers. That means 11 million. He's making 9 million next year. Did you really want to pay that? Now, in retrospect, Corbett looks like John Hanna for the Rams compared to what we've gone through this year. But again, we couldn't account for the injuries. Corbett, yeah, it's a little bit, but you're not going to pay 11 rocks, 9 rocks to a guard. That's okay. He's good, but he's okay. Jared Goff, there's a lot of people out there saying, oh, we should have kept Jared Goff, yada, yada, yada. Goff's ranking 27 out of 37 quarterbacks. He's still the same Jared Goff. And he still has 2 years of significant dough. So he's still going to be by next year, he's still going to be the Lions bridge quarterback unless something amazing happens. It'll be interesting to see, considering who comes out and what the Lions want to do, because they got the Rams' first round pick, and that's going to be a sweet pick. It'll likely be a top 10 pick. So good for the Lions. And Goff's played well. But, really? Would you trade him for Stafford and not a Super Bowl? Josh Reynolds, same guy that he was going back to 2020. He's in Detroit. Johnny Munt with the Vikings. He's actually getting targeted. He's got 17 catches this year. But Johnny Munt, really? Samson Ebukam. He's actually middle of the road as a pass rusher, edge player for the 49ers. He's got 3 sacks. He'll probably finish with 5 or 6, which is about his average. But again, we won a Super Bowl the year after he left. Samson Ebukam, right? We let him walk. We let Morgan Fox walk. And Morgan Fox right now is having a little bit better than average year. And he's parlayed a lot out of that 6'3", 275 frame where he was an undrafted free agent. And right now he's ranked 47 out of 124 DTs. He's played well for the Chargers. But again, you've seen the Chargers defense, right? Did we lose anything when we lost Morgan Fox? Did we lose anything when we lost Gerald Everett to Seattle last year and now to the Chargers? Gerald Everett is probably just a grade or 2 above Jared Cook. And I used to say about Jared Cook is Jared Cook giveth and then Jared Cook taketh away. He'd make a great play and then he'd do something boneheaded. Gerald Everett's good, not great, and he's still not a great blocker. And so did the Rams make the right decision by letting him walk? Yeah. Sony Michel. We all loved Sony Michel last year. Went to the Miami. They released him. He's with the Chargers, and he's nothing but a mop-up guy getting one carry a game. Now I'm reaching back a little bit further, going back to about the summer of 2019. We released a guy named John Franklin Myers. He plays for the Jets. He was a 4th round, 135th overall out of Stephen F. Austin by the Rams. He's a down lineman, edge, hand in the dirt kind of guy. He's ranked 113 out of 117. He's played really well for the Jets. And there were a lot of smart people, smarter than me, that were really wondering why the Rams let him go, gave up on him so quick. But he's carved out a nice career with the Jets. So him along with Austin Corbett might be the first ones you want to talk about, right? In terms of maybe the Rams made a bad choice here. Robert Woods with the Titans. Very middle of the road. He started strong. He's fading. Now, of course, he's playing with Ryan Tannehill. He's got 1 touchdown, and he's playing for a running team. And because of his contract, he's likely a cap casualty next year. So this is probably his only year in Tennessee. I love Robert Woods. Great Robert. One of my favorite Rams of all time. But if this is towards the end of his career, we're not being stung really bad by Robert Woods' departure, except maybe in the locker room or something like that. Sebastian Joseph Day. He is not having a great year. He's been a very disappointment for the Chargers. Remember, he was the starter last year. He got hurt. Greg Gaines stepped in, and the decision was, okay, Joseph, we love you, but you got to go. And he's got another year guarantee of pretty good guarantee money there with the Chargers, so he should be back. But he's been a disappointment this year. Austin Blythe, the Seahawks. He was pretty fair starting center for the Rams up through 19 and 20. And then he went to Kansas City in 21, but then they drafted that guy, Creed Humphrey, the most talked about non-Ram in history, and didn't play hardly at all last year. And now he's a starting center with the Seahawks, and he's one of the lowest graded centers in the league. His career is starting to fade. They can't move the ball. He can't move anybody. So I don't think it hurt us to let Austin Blythe go. Michael Brockers, Rams got all the best out of him. He went to the Lions, and he's barely holding on. He's played in just 6 games this year. He's only got 4 tackles, and he's likely to be bought out at season's end, and his career looks like it's very much over. And then we let go of Terrell Burgess this year, and the Giants signed him a few weeks ago, almost a month ago, and he's yet to make a defensive appearance. And I honked for Terrell Burgess. I loved Terrell Burgess, but it's just not happening for him, and he is a special teamer. And so I went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I went through almost more than a dozen names here. Who did the Rams not sign that you wish they still had that would have made all the difference in the world? I think the preponderance of evidence here is that Mick Snead, Sean McVay, Mick Snead made the right calls on these guys. You couldn't foresee the injury bug that hit this year, unprecedented, and it affected everything. The offensive line goes down, everything is affected. Not only the running game, Stafford getting hurt, all that. Darius Williams has not played well. Did he play any better? Would he have played any better than Kobe Durant? Would he have played any better than Darian Kendrick? Right now, with Darius Williams is in his career, we don't know. We don't know if he would have. And so we haven't given away anybody. We've got space, some space, modest space, a little less than modest space on the cap, which is going to go up. We have some draft picks. All the Rams really need is for someone to get healthy. They need for these guys to get healthy in the off season. And so that's the situation for the Rams right now going in. So be of good cheer, right? You might not get a Christmas miracle, but you might get a longer term miracle going forward into 2023. All right. I went 30 minutes, man. That's long. I'm Joe Terosian. Take care. God bless. Check out my new book on Amazon. It's in ebook form right now. Later this week, it'll be released in paperback. The Pastor Who Couldn't Wait for Christmas to Be Over. Have a great Christmas. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. God bless.